Hello and welcome to Almost 30 Podcast. My name is Krista Williams and I'm going to be your host and guide today. If you're new here, welcome. It's nice to meet you. And if you're an OG, it's me. I've been in your ears for the past 10 years now. We started Almost 30 on our closet floors. My podcast co-host and co-founder, Lindsay, and I were lost and confused. We were both working full-time jobs in 2016. And in our lost and confused state, we decided to start a podcast that eventually became a brand and business, but was really born out of a labor of love, a genuine curiosity, a passion for podcasting, and a desire to become the people we knew we came here to be. So if you are spiritually inclined, if you're wellness inclined, if you're self-help inclined, this is the place for you. You don't need to be 30 to listen. You just have to be someone that wants to learn and grow and evolve, and someone that is very curious in life. We do solo episodes where I dig into topics that I'm really excited about, where Lindsay digs into topics she's excited about. And we also have really powerful interviews with some of the best and brightest in the game. I have been on my own spiritual journey since I was in my early 20s. I have been through a process that's been very public on the show of evolving and growing, whether it's through divorce, through deep healing, through my mother wound, through my body journey, through codependency, through narcissistic abuse. It's been quite the ride, but we are here today and we are at a new phase and stage of life and learning. And I am going to bring through something in this solo episode that I'm so deeply excited about. And I know every single podcaster says that. And at this point, there's very little trust in that statement. But let me tell you, this I have been bringing up at every turn, at every point, at every moment. And this has been coming up in so many conversations that I've been having. And that is the book, 10X is Easier Than 2X. This is by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy, and it is so incredible. And so during this episode, I'm going to be breaking down why 10X is easier than 2X can be applied to you living a life that you love, getting on your highest timeline, and being that dream version of you. I know so many of you are visualizing, you're manifesting, you have this idea and vision of who you are and the life that you want to live. But right now, and maybe sometimes in life, it can feel hard to find and align to that highest self version. We can have a vision of living in our dream home, of being in our dream career, of being on purpose, of being healthy, of being wealthy, of being wise, of being in a loving, committed partnership, of having family. Whatever the visions are, it can feel very far away. And I think with this framework that I'm going to teach you by leveraging 10X is easier than 2X, it'll be easier to see that, and it'll create an opportunity for you to be even more successful in reaching and attaining that dream life. I was speaking at an event recently in Arizona called Powerhouse Women, and it was an incredible event. Lindsay, the founder of Powerhouse, is just such a superstar, and it was very, very inspiring. I do a lot of events, and this one was just top notch. And during it, I mentioned the book 10X is easier than 2X, and I mentioned it. And when I mentioned it, I was applying it to people in creating their dream life. And so I thought I'd break it down for us in this episode. So the core idea of the book, 10X is easier than 2X, which is really usually for business and entrepreneurs. It's not so much applied to life. It can be and was a little bit in the book, but I felt like I really wanted to add a spiritual lens. I wanted to add my unique algorithm of A Course in Miracles, of Neville Goddard, of internal family systems, all of the things that I really practice, teach, and love. So the core idea of this book is that 2X growth is incremental, it's familiar, and it's attached to the current identity. So if you thought about changing your business as an example and growing it by 2X, you'd be thinking about what are the things that I can do that's familiar, that's incremental, that's going to get me to the place that I want to go. So you'd be pulling on the same levers, you'd be doing the same things, and oftentimes you're really just doing the same thing, but you're doing more of it. You're like, I need to make twice as much money, so I need to work twice as hard. So many of us have that idea in our lives of wanting more, so thinking we have to work more for it. This is also the masculine paradigm that so many of us live in, where we feel like we have to put as much energy in as we get out, and that's just not how it works. But the 10X growth method in life, and I'll apply this to business, but then to life soon, is basically exponential. This requires transformation, simplification of your life, and alignment with your highest vision. So going 10X is actually easier because you're not taking the old habits with you, you're not taking the old relationships with you, and you're not taking the old identities with you forward. So you strip down to what truly matters. So you have a completely different frame of life and of experiencing life, because the 2X growth, again, is still tied to the old systems that you have. It's still tied to the old identities that you have. And it's still tied to the ways of working, like pushing yourself harder instead of thinking more creatively and smarter. The 10X growth that we all want, that I want, that I'm looking forward to, forces us to release almost everything that isn't essential. It's simplifying to the essential. We have to step into a new identity in this part and focus on what truly creates the exponential results. So what in our life is working? What could we double down on? What could we simplify? What could we let go of? And what is the identity we need to embody to live the 10X vision of our life? So this is, again, technically rooted in entrepreneurship and performance, but this framework is powerful because it also translates beautifully to spiritual and personal transformation, which is why I love it so much. So we're going to be talking about what it means to have a timeline jump, to have a quantum leap, instead of making incremental improvements. We're talking the 10X model. So we're looking for that highest timeline, that incremental leap, rather than just taking the small steps to get a little bit of benefit. So now that I've covered the difference between 2X and 10X, which can also be related to one of my favorite teachings in A Course in Miracles, which says a miracle is really a shift in perception. A miracle is a shift in perception. I could get chills thinking about that. So in this experience, how we perceive things is going to be incredibly important. 2X keeps you in the same perception of you needing to do the same things, but doing more of them, rather than the 10X, which demands a radical shift on how you see yourself in your life. So changing that perception is going to be what gets us the miracle. So why are we often stuck in the 2X zone? What keeps us in the 2X zone is the conditioning around being good enough, the conditioning around accepting good enough, the fear of being too much if we desire more, and settling for incremental progress instead of quantum leaps. I love the Neville Goddard principle here. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This 2X model keeps you thinking maybe someday, and the 10X model really allows you to embody the desire now as if it already is. So if we use this example in dating with the 10X and 2X, the old model would be, I need to go on 50 dates to find the one person. I need to do more. I need to put myself out there more. I need to, get myself on the dating apps. I need to find a matchmaker to find the love of my life. But the 10X model would be completely different. It'd be about looking at the outcome of you wanting to find your person or your soulmate and thinking completely differently about the process it would take to get you there. So how can you embody the identity of a wife? How can you think creatively about the steps you're going to take to find or look for or be receptive to your person? How can you assume the feeling of having the wish fulfilled? So instead of settling for someone who's nice or good on paper, raising your standards to only choosing partnerships that feel deeply aligned, passionate, or expansive. So this is also simplification of the process. It's you not entertaining things and people that you know are not going to be supportive of your end goal. It's you letting go of the roster. It's you letting go of situationships. It's you letting go of all the things that are standing in the way of you being aligned to the person and the life that you're wanting. So when we think about growth with a 2X model, we think, oh, this relationship is healthier than the last one. This is better than the last one. But the 10X model means that it doesn't allow you to keep you in your old patterns. So it requires a complete reimagining of how you live, who you surround yourself with, how you think, and what you believe you deserve. It forces you to cut out the good but not great things so you can make space for the extraordinary. So it pulls you into that future vision that can't exist if you cling to the old ways. There's a huge mindset shift around this, and that has to do with believing that 10X is possible, believing that that quantum leap is possible, believing that you can have the 10X experience. And for most of us, we actually need to metabolize any growth or expansion. In Kabbalah, they talk about building your vessel and the fact of having a vessel that can hold all of the prayers that you're asking for, all the dreams that you have. And oftentimes you're not given what you cannot hold. God is not going to give you all the gifts and blessings and abundance if you cannot hold it, if you cannot sustain it, if you're not sculpted for it. So in the process of thinking 10X, it's really in the belief of being able to hold the 10X experience rather than just going for the incremental growth of the 2X. So this new leap in consciousness and not just in behavior is essential. We can talk about changing behaviors, but it's really going to require you to be in the consciousness of being able to hold the 10X. And whether for you, the 10X is a 10X in business, or whether for you, the 10X is a 10X in your health routine or your health experience or your relationships or even your self-identity, the 10X is going to require you to let go from a consciousness level of the old identity you've been carrying around. So for me, I was thinking about that this weekend where I was playing around with the idea of the 10X life. And I was thinking about the dream life that I want, where I want to live, the career that I want to have, the impact that I want to have, the friendships that I want to have, the relationships that I want to have. And I was thinking about that and what kind of person I would need to be a steward of that, to be a facilitator of that, to be in the experience of that. And what kind of life and routine and patterns would that person be in? I always say, do your patterns match your prayers? And if we don't have patterns that are matching what we're praying for, as the example in the 10X life, the ideal dream life, then we're never going to get where we want to go. So if I'm thinking about myself living in a beautiful home with a big impact, with a big business, with a super successful expression, what would my routine be like to facilitate that? What time would I get up? What would I do first thing in the morning? What am I eating? What supplements am I taking? How am I speaking to myself? How am I speaking to other people? How am I speaking to my partner? There's a lot of little decisions that I could be making on a day-to-day basis in this now moment that would be more aligned to the person that I want to be than the decisions and identity that I'm relating to now. And I hope that makes sense. So instead of becoming a slightly better version of your current self, ask what the 10X version of you is. What does she believe? How does she walk into a room? What does she say yes or no to? This is also huge. If you are the person that you want to be, say you are a really successful, for me, a very successful public speaker, a very successful podcaster, a very successful teacher, my life on a bigger, more grand scale. Maybe there's some other really fun projects mixed in there. What am I saying no to? What kind of relationships am I saying no to? What kind of projects am I saying no to? Where in my life can I simplify to spend more of my energy in the places that it is fruitful? This 10X mindset is also really important in just energetics for your life. Who are the relationships and people that you're around that add 10X value to your life? And how could you spend more time with them? How could you spend more energy with them? As an example, one of my dearest friends is incredibly valuable to my life. Jenna Zoe, I'll say her name. Jenna Zoe adds so much value to my life. Every time I'm with her, I get an energetic reset. I get a bath for my energy. I get a blessing for my soul. And it provides so much value to my personal life and my business. That's a relationship that I would want to double down on and continue to say yes to because it's aligning to my 10X life and it gives me 10X what I put in it. And I hope that I do the same for her. So this is something that you want to do and think about when you're thinking about simplifying your life. You cannot keep carrying all the things in your 10X life because if we're looking to get 2X, it's just going to be doing more and more of all the things you're currently doing in the identity that you're currently in. You're going to be spending the same amount of time with the same people, maybe more or less. You're going to be attaching to the same identity, but thinking that you're doing more rather than completely letting go of the identity you have now, even some of the relationships you have now, even some of the patterns you have now, to completely reestablish new patterns, new identities, and new relationships that actually align you to the life that you're looking for. When we were at the Powerhouse Women event that I was speaking at recently, one of the offerings I had to the audience was having them talk to one another. And you guys can do this with your friends. It's really fun on a walk, or you can even have a night where you have all your friends over and you guys sit together and you share your dream life. The important thing that I want you to do is help expand your friend's vision. So what does this look like? This looks like me sitting on the floor. Maybe I'm taking up space in the middle, and I'm talking about my dream life. As a friend, I want you to help them expand their vision. Okay, you said you woke up in Malibu. What does your house look like? Okay, you said you woke up next to the man of your dreams. What is he like? Okay, you said that you went outside and had coffee. What was the view that you looked at? Okay, you said you woke up at 6 a.m. What were you wearing and what did you do next? Okay, you said you're working on a project that lit you up. What could that project be and what was the result? So having relationships in your life and having supportive people to help you build and lean into that 10x vision is also going to be huge. So again, this is a practical exercise you guys can take from this. Having a night with your friends where you expand each other's vision for their lives, where you help them build something bigger, add more color, add more life, add more vitality to their dream life can be incredibly helpful for getting clear and then also living into that vision. And as a note, of course, I would never want you guys to do this exercise with people that secretly hate you or people that are very jealous of you or people that suck. Just let me put that out there. This is for a very specific flavor of friend. This is for a very specific flavor group of people. I've been in groups where this isn't the vibe and this isn't safe. And so don't do that. Do this with friends that you love and trust. Do this with friends that can handle it. So that's my disclaimer. That's my little taste test for y'all to note, because I don't want you to be messaging me like my friends are the worst and they actually made it worse for me. This needs to be done in doses with friends that are safe. So again, we get stuck in this 2x zone because we feel like we have to do more to get the life we love. We feel like everything is good enough. We feel like we're too much if we desire more. And we're just settling for the incremental progress instead of believing that we can do quantum leaps. We're going to stop assuming maybe someday. And we're going to embody the desired now as if it already is. This is a lot of Joe Dispenza's work, to embody the feeling and then feel it cellularly, letting the quantum field know we're going to do a quantum leap. So that's, also a really beautiful teacher to bring into this. There's a lot of spiritual principles that support this 10x leap that I'm talking about. Neville Goddard is such a good one. He really talks about how imagination creates reality. Imagination creates reality. So to go 10x, you have to see it, feel it, and believe it first. So your embodiment of this, seeing it, feeling it, and believe it, is incredibly important for this process. If you do not do this, none of this will happen. This is just foundational need, foundational necessity, is opening up our brain and our creativity and our imagination to believe that anything is truly possible, that the 10x is possible, and we are no longer going to put energy towards the 2x life. We're going to almost take all of the energy that we can, as much as possible, away from the 2x experience to the 10x experience of our life. So that means out of the old habits, out of the old identities, out of the old relationships, out of the patterns that we no longer need in the 10x life. A Course in Miracles is powerful as well. Course in Miracles says that miracles collapse time. So 10x is timeless. God does not work linearly. God does not know or care about time. So all of these things that can happen actually can happen very fast, actually can happen, in an instant, can happen in a day, a week, whatever. And having that belief that miracles collapse time and that miracles are possible with the 10x is also a huge part of this process. There's also a universal law called the law of sacrifice. And in the law of sacrifice applied to this methodology, to go 10x, you must actually let go of the good to receive the extraordinary. Letting go of the good to receive the extraordinary. And I'm double clicking on this for our journey right now, because so many women that I work with get to a point where they live a good life. Things are good. Things are good. I am good. How are you? Good. Everything's good. But they know that there is more. At the end of my marriage, I knew that I wanted to have an epic, extraordinary love. I did not want good. I did not want status quo. I did not want basic. I am not basic. I am not status quo. That is not my experience. That is not my journey. It has never been. I've never even been able to fake it. So when I let go of that good, and good is used lightly, good is light. Anywho, when I let go of the good, I knew I could receive the extraordinary relationship, the extraordinary love, the extraordinary experience that I'm more aligned for than the good. Oftentimes, people get stuck and gripping and holding to good. And the more you're gripping and holding to good, the more you're not allowing the extraordinary relationship, career, friendship experience to come through. it will require you to let go of things that are not completely 100% lighting you up and aligned to you. The more you make your life better and more beautiful and more magical and more all of the things, the more you have to actually let go of things that are really amazing. I have two of my best friends that have the most beautiful businesses that I've literally ever seen. Three of them. They're incredible businesses that every person that I know would be so jealous to run and experience a business like that, that's doing incredibly well, has a lot of impact, is aligned. And they are stepping away from those businesses because they know there's something extraordinary on the other side. They know that their soul is ready for something else. And that's just what it is. When you start to live a life that you love and expand more and make more aligned choices, the choices that you make now are not going to be you having a toxic relationship and then a mid one. It's going to be having a good one or an extraordinary one. Things keep getting better and better, so the decisions become more precise and more surgical so that they align more deeply to your soul and what your soul is calling and craving in. So the law of sacrifice, which is the universal law, says that to go 10x, you must let go of the good to receive the extraordinary. One of my favorite teachings. There's also the concept of faith and trust, which we all know, we all love, we have so much love for and reverence for, also find it impossible and hard to have faith and trust all the time. Faith and trust. I know it is the hardest thing to do and have is having faith and trust. Everyone's like, trust the path, have faith, and it's like, what does that even mean? Dude, sometimes all that stuff, it's like, so funny because like, and this is a side tangent, then I'm going to get back into flow, but you know, when I'm like cruising in life, I'm like, have faith, trust the path. And then when stuff is off, I'm like, what do you even mean by that? Like, it's like so hard to tune into when you're not attached to it. But faith and trust in relation to this concept and model. So choosing the 10X really requires trusting the intelligence of the divine, trusting the timing of our lives, trusting God, rather than logic and incremental steps. I think for me, this is the biggest part of this concept and idea that I really loved and related to, obviously, is that the logical mind says that I need to put in more hours to make more money. The logical mind says I need to work harder to make more money. The logical mind says I need to try harder to be perfect, to be loved. The logical mind says I need to do more to get more out of life. The logical mind says I need to stay because this is okay and safe. So there's so much that our logical mind limits us with. We are so limited by the logical mind. It is so wild. This is why I love coaching so much. This is why I love retreat so much, because I get to sit with people and question the logical mind and bring in magic and curiosity and break them from these paradigms and prisons that we live in on a daily basis. Like every single thought technically is a prison. I don't know if that's true, but that felt like, you know, something that was like really rolling off my tongue, really working there. And I don't know if every thought's a prison. I'm going to think about that more on a walk. But a lot of our thoughts are keeping us in prison, keeping us small. So having someone to check us as a coach is one of my favorite things. But you need to let go of thinking incrementally. You need to let go of thinking logically, and you need to allow yourself to think more creatively and expansively in this process by establishing a new identity and taking a completely different route by a completely different set of patterns. When we're thinking about applying the 10X principle to areas of our life with spiritual tools, I think what can be really powerful is thinking about them in different sort of buckets. So if we were talking about career and business, the 2X model would be adding a little bit of revenue. Like how can I add, an extra few $1,000s a month? So for me as an example, in the work that I do, coaching, podcast, retreats, brand deals, speaking. So I'd be like, okay, how can I do more coaching? How can I do more brand deals? How can I do more whatever? But the 10X is really, how can I, you guys, I'm just having a moment here. This is just so good. I'm really amped on this. I'm just feeling the heat right now. The 10X is how can I step more into my calling? How can I create more impact? And I think I'm having a moment for myself with this. So this is healing a part of me that's really in this process. So thank you, Krista, for doing this. Thank you, God, for allowing me to speak about this. Because I'm thinking about this now for my work. Because I'm like, okay, how do I add more revenue? Like I'm leaving money on the table. I know that I have more abundance in my field than this. I know I have more money in escrow than this. How can I get to that 10x experience of stepping into my calling? So I'm not going to be thinking about easy ways to add a few $1,000s a month or a few tens of $1,000s or whatever. I'm going to be thinking about how I can step more fully into my calling. How can I create more impact? So for me, this morning, I was actually having that experience where I was thinking 10x. And I said, what does the world need from me that I can give? What can I teach and bring through to the world that I can give them right now? What is it that I can show or bring to them that is going to be supportive, rather than how can I add a few $1,000s a month to my revenue? With this, what can be supportive for thinking about career and business is doing visualization work, doing affirmations work. Neville does a lot of I am work. And this is also breaking down the identity and asking ourselves those two questions. So instead of thinking how much we can make incrementally, how can we step more into our calling and create more impact? I'm going to be doing a mastermind in Fiji in 2026. And we're going to be doing a lot of this kind of thought around building a business as a spiritual entrepreneur. If it's for spiritual entrepreneurs, it's application only. And we're going to be bringing all of this in. So, just kind of seeding that as well for anyone that feels called and aligned to this work. So applying the 10X model to relationships. So the 2X thought would be, he's nice, he's better than the last. This is good. This is closer. This is nice. This is getting better than it was before. The 10X is, this is the person, this is soulful, this is passionate, this is the aligned partnership that I've been looking for. This is the aligned partner that I'm looking for. So you're not just thinking, this is a good space to fill, this is a warm body, he's nicer to me than the other one, he's hotter than the other one, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, no, this is from a soul level more aligned. This is more passionate, this is more expansive, and this is more in service to myself and my mission than the other one. So we are not just getting incrementally better. We are doing the quantum leap in relationships and knowing that's possible. And this is one of my favorite practices as well, my sisters. So a friend and I were walking and I was talking about some of the men I was dating, and I was talking about a period I was in where I was exploring just dating people, and I was exploring lovership, and I was exploring the experience of just being in the dating world, because hadn't been in the dating world really ever in my life, because I've always been in relationships. So, and I was like, oh, should I hook up with this person? Should I do this? And I was just kind of like, playing around with some things. And she said, what would a wife do? What would the wife of the man that you want to be with do? How would the wife of the man that you want to be with act in this situation? How would the wife of the man that you want to be with act in this situation? And I said, sister, that question annoys me. You know what I mean? I was like, I just want to kiki. I want to have fun. But that question was so powerful because, like I've been talking about, that's thinking about the identity. How do I embody the identity of the woman that's going to be with the man that I want to be with? What is the identity of that person? What is the identity of that role? What is she like? What is the 10X experience of already stepping into and embodying and being the wife of the man of my dreams? That's a completely different decision set than the one that I was making. The one I was making was like, maiden energy little girl. I was like, oh, I just want to talk to him and do all this stuff. And then when I was like, oh, stepping into the wife of the man that's going to be with me, the wife of the man I want to call in, that's a completely different energetic. That's a completely different set of communication. That's a completely different set of every single thing is embodied differently. So the 10X is really you embodying that experience of being in the 10X version of you. If we were thinking from health and body, the 2X method is, just dieting, making small tweaks, just like, I'm just going to, add more water. I'm going to do gluten-free. I'm just going to, just go on this diet. And the 10X is really creating a very radiant, vibrant temple for your soul. So it's really seeing your body in a completely different life. I do a program called Metamorphosis, which I'm going to be doing again in January. It's my body transformation program from a psycho-spiritual lens, but we also have tactical practices with peptides. It's the dopest thing maybe I've ever done. It's Metamorphosis. It's so good. But in it, it's the 10X model. It's completely radical. It's not just like, here is my workout. Here is my diet plan. Here's what I ate in a day. Here's this. It's like, no, I'm not going to tell you what to eat in a day. I'm not going to tell you how to work out. I am going to help you Create a 10x experience of having a deep, intimate, respectful, loving relationship with your body that expands beyond the physical, that is spiritually fed, that is spiritually nourished, that is spiritually aligned, that is spiritually healed, healthy, happy, and whole. The 10x model is also trying something completely new and different, like peptides, which, I'm partnering with Joy Wellness, and we have an amazing peptide protocol in the program, and you do blood work and all of that. So the 10x model is approaching the body completely different. For me, using peptides and weightlifting was completely different. I had to establish a different identity than the class goer that I was doing, but I saw my body completely transform. So there is a practice here you can do today. So it is radical. This is radical and different for a lot of you, is to have gratitude for your body in this now moment as whole and perfect. That is radical. That is a different identity than so many people have, because so many of us hate our bodies. So that's something you can do today. So if I was to apply the 10x method with identity, the 2x is I'll be slightly better, just like I'll be kinder. I won't be late, just kind of like mid-level better, just a little bit better. The 10x is I am the highest version of myself. I am on the highest timeline. I'm living as the highest self. Years ago, we worked with this healer regularly once a month. And I remember we were working with her and she said, you're actually embodying your highest self more now than ever. And you're going to continue to do that. And I completely 100% believe that. There was a time where my highest self came in, and she is rocking and rolling and living through me and experienced and expressed through me on a regular basis. And I've felt it ever since. And that is the 2x experience, rather than just being like, I want to be a little bit better. I think, no, it's like I can embody a completely new identity. And you could use I am statements. This really requires you to kind of take the lid off of how you see yourself. Again, this is why I love coaching work so much, because I can really fine tune and get surgical about the identity that you hold for yourself and how you're holding yourself back and how you're limiting yourself. But you can also do this work yourself if you're very good. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we kind of miss little things. But you really being like, no, this highest self version that I have a vision of myself for, this is me today. And this is how she lives and how she breathes and the patterns that she's in and the way she operates and the relationships that she's in. So how can we close this out? Because I'm so hot right now, of practical steps to live the 10x spiritually. So you guys can take this with you. You can share this with friends. You can, do all of that. You can identify first where you are living 2x in your life. For me, that's my business, baby. Keep it 100 with you. I'm living 2x in my business. I'm like, I want to make more revenue next year. Okay, I'm going to do more of this. I'm going to do more of that. No. I'm radically going to look at my business at the end of this year and see how I can change my business from the inside out and see how I can be the more expressed, more aligned version of me and how I can serve in a greater way. And what would that person do? If I was to live and embody the person I look up to the most, what is she doing with her day? What is she doing with her business? So identifying where you're playing 2x in your life. For the mastermind in Fiji, this is a lot of the work that we'll be doing. Where are you playing small? Where are you limiting yourself? This container of the mastermind in Fiji will be incredible for that, but you can also do this yourself. You can also ask, what is the 10 times version of my life? So for me, what is the 10 times version of my business, my life, my relationships? What do they look like? Who do I have to be to have that? Visualize and assume the end state. So visualize and live into what it feels like to be in that version. And you need to also release the attachments of not good enough and release the ways you're limiting yourself. Essential. Releasing the old identities that you're in and making room for what's possible. A Course in Miracles is a really beautiful spiritual practice to bring into this as well, where you are choosing love over fear on a daily basis. And when I say love, people think like, ooh, ooey gooey love, da-da-da-da. And it's like, no, love is like powerful. Love is the absence of fear. Love is the truth. Love is the way. It's not just like hugging. It's like, no, like for me to be in love means I'm choosing the life that like includes my greatest expression and my power and in my truth. Like, no, because that's loving myself. Because I'm like, no, girl, I love you more than I love the thoughts of you're not enough or the thoughts of you're a loser or the thoughts of you can't do that. No. So 10x isn't just about more. It's about living from a higher level of consciousness. So 10X is available for all of you, for every single one of you, when you align with divine truth, imagination, and love. You could even say to yourself, I am a woman who chooses miracles. I live as the highest version of myself. I am already her. I'm a woman that chooses miracles. I live as the highest version of myself. I am already her. Taking a deep breath, because that was a full journey together. Thank you so much to the authors of 10X is Better Than 2X, one of my favorite books. Again, so good for business. I wanted to kind of bring a spiritual personal growth lens to it. It's by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy. It's just incredible. I also reference Neville Goddard, A Course in Miracles in this, and then some universal laws if you guys want to dig into that. And then I also talked about a few things I have coming up. So I'm doing a mastermind for spiritual entrepreneurs where we're taking a 5-star trip to Fiji at the Six Senses in Fiji, which is going to be insane and beautiful. We'll be talking a lot about some of the principles I talked today. So if you want to absolutely radically change your life and your business, this mastermind is for you. It's application only. It's super small. It's going to be incredible. I have some amazing people in it already. And then I also have Metamorphosis. So Metamorphosis is my body transformation program. It's unlike anything out there that exists. I take a psycho-spiritual approach to weight loss and your body. And then I also take a very tactical approach by having you get blood work. And if you want peptides from Joy Wellness, so I kind of mix the both and do everything that's helped me completely transform my body from a body that I felt and hated and disdained to a body that I love, that I feel beautiful and radiant in. And being in the body that I love now has helped me to be more successful, be more expressed, be more myself. All the things that I was fearful that would happen when I lost weight happened, which is fucked up but true. Have to say it. So all of those at itskrista.com. So it's ITSKRISTA, itskrista.com for the mastermind retreat for Metamorphosis program, which you can sign up for at an early bird rate today. And then I also do one-on-one coaching. I don't have any spots available right now for that, but there will be some that open up in 2026. We can talk about that later. And I love y'all. I'm on Instagram at itskrista. It's ITSKRISTA. It's Krista. Come connect, hang with me. And thank you for joining Almost 30, a podcast that I love so deeply. There's 800 plus episodes you can dig into to change your life. Almost 30 podcast on Instagram, on TikTok, almost30.com. And I'll see you on the next one. I love you guys. Bye-bye.